Good evening, everyone. Welcome into a Thursday, what I like to call Little Friday. It is October the 2nd, and you're watching 270 Weather. Weather for the 270 area code and beyond. My name is Chris Allen. Thanks for tuning in. And if you live in the 270 area code, good. I've got your weather. If you don't live in the 270 area code, that's okay. I'll uh, I'll even get outside the lines just a little bit. Maybe a little 615, maybe a little 502, maybe a little 364, maybe a little 606, 859. You know, I dabble, but mostly it's about the 270. So we get right into it. Um, There were a couple of places that actually had showers today, which I will show you because they're still out there. And it surprised me as much as it surprised those that picked up on some of those showers today. But here in Bowling Green, of course, nothing as far as rain. And this, now get this is the third day in a row that we've had a high of 88 and a low of 61 and no rainfall. Third day in a row. 10 degrees warmer than the normal of 78. I don't know how we did that 3 days in a row, but such is the case. Yeah. All right. Let's look at look at that. Showers. Here at 7:07 p.m., there are actually rain showers. And these just formed in parts of western Kentucky, up there by Sturgis and Morganfield, but closer to home, Crofton, Madisonville, Livermore. Wow. And notice they're just kind of drifting. There's very little upper flow. So these just kind of built on the periphery of high pressure. And so high pressure, let's just imagine that, let's say it's just way over here. That's not exactly where it's placed, but winds around high pressure go like the hands on a clock, clockwise. Okay. So the winds have been shifting today. They've been from the east the last several days, but now they're coming up out of the south and west. So on this outer periphery of that ridge of high pressure, we had just enough moisture to pop those showers. And so that's why they're there. So congratulations, parts of McLean and Hopkins and even Christian County, even Muhlenberg County, just up there north of Greenville, Central City, uh, picking up a little shower. It's dissipating now, but congratulations. That was a nice little bonus that most of you were not expecting today. Will there be more of those tomorrow? Well, that's the big question. The high pressure ridge, is slowly beginning to break down and move away, and that is going to be why we're going to see better rain chances as we head into next week. All right. In the meantime, let's check current Kentucky mesonet temperatures as of 7:09 p.m. on this Thursday, October 2nd. 70s pretty much across the board except for Litchfield at 69, Burkesville at 63. Well, let's see if there was any measurable rainfall out of those little renegade showers. Nope, I don't see anything. Now, it rained, but none of the rain, as you can see, this is Muhlenberg, there's McLean, there's Hopkins, there's Christian. So none of the rain that showed up this afternoon and is still out there hit any of these sensors, these rain gauges. So, okay. It was probably a trace or less. Winds right now, see, they're mostly out of the west, well, out of the southeast, but then they turn more southwest as we go through time, and they will over the next few days become a little more southwesterly. So around that periphery of high pressure, yeah, um, and that's what kept us warm again today. All right, let's go on to the look down the road. Rainfall chances. This is something that we've been talking about the last few days, and we're still looking good here. This, of course, takes us through the next 7 days, tomorrow through next Friday, October the 10th. And this is when some big changes are going to happen in our weather. Not just rain chances coming in, but much cooler air. It's about time. Mid of October, almost the mid of October. Yeah, we're going to get there. It's going to feel it. Um, this measurable rainfall, about an inch, inch and a quarter, and that's over the course of, let's say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and maybe even Thursday of next week. So that's looking pretty good right there. Best chance of rain we have seen in a while. It's been a long while. All right, let's go to the maps. Oh, let me show you this. Since this came out today, the new drought monitor, which is updated every Thursday, which I don't like. I wish they did it more often, especially this time of the year, because you get somewhat skewed data. Like last week, it showed us in a severe to extreme drought when we had really beneficial rainfall, as you'll recall, last week. It didn't reflect, though, until this update. This update looks much better than last week, and here we are in the drought again. But it shows us going down a notch to a moderate drought. And those places that were in the level 3 extreme drought that were in the red last week are now back into the kind of gold brown kind of color, severe drought level 2. So it's okay. It's good to look at this, but it is a bit misleading because of when the data is ingested to come up with this graphic, it cuts off on Tuesdays. So anything that happens between Tuesday and Thursday doesn't get represented on this graphic. So it's been a while since we've had rain, and this makes it look like, well, that rain helped us out. So the drought is not as bad, but it is bad. It's bad enough. It's a little worse than what they're showing here because this data ended, yeah, it ended on Tuesday, and today's Thursday. So there's that. Okay, let's move on now to the maps. Let's see what's coming. I'm really excited about not only the rain chances that are coming, but also the cooler air, which is going to make it feel more like fall in the next week or so. So here is that. Remember, I talked about this inverted trough that is just kind of snaking across Kentucky, and that there's probably very little, if any, chance of getting rain. But then, as we have seen, and we're seeing right now, some of you west of Bowling Green picking up on some little renegade showers. Most of these will dissipate now that we're at dark and nighttime has befallen. Here is early tomorrow morning after midnight. Here's 7 a.m. Well, they want to try to spit out a little something there about Evansville Henderson, maybe Owensboro. We'll see if that holds up. Here's 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. There's the high pressure. Now, this ridge, you see it there, two areas of high pressure centers, but the ridge has been dominant and it's big. And the good news is it's going to begin to break down. That's good news because with any incoming systems, that means chances for rain are going to go up because this high pressure ridge is not going to eat away at it like it's been doing. So there it goes. This is Friday evening, dry. Here's early. Let me see if I can get that reloaded with the fronts on it. Okay, this is Saturday morning. High pressure ridge still moving east and beginning to weaken and break down. Here's Saturday evening, Sunday morning. Not much happening there. But let's get into Monday. I think that's when we'll begin to see. Now, again, here is high pressure, but it is forcing a flow, offshore flow, coming up out of the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico. That's good for us because then it will start to bring us some showers. And then on top of that, we've got a system out in the plains that is going to move in and interact with this moisture and help set off better rain chances for us as we get on into next week. Here's Tuesday. Look at the coverage. That's nice. Nice coverage of rain on Tuesday. Here comes the front, and Wednesday, the front will be pretty much directly over the 270. This high pressure, not worried about it. It's what we call a dirty high. It's contaminated. It's not really it's not strong enough to fend off this rain or to dry it up like it has before. So we'll get the rain. Let's see Thursday. Thursday looking a little drier. There still may be some lingering showers early Thursday, but the system, that front, will move off to the east. And this is when some cooler air begins to move in and take over. Now, let me do a wide view here because I want to show you. Here comes another system out of the Rockies that is going to head southeast on the periphery of this high pressure center. And once this moves away, we get that flow again with some showers. And then this will interact and almost act as almost like a clipper system. And this is the time of year, especially as we get into the fall and winter seasons, we have these little clipper systems. It's just a fast moving area of low pressure and a cold front. And usually these clipper systems bring cooler air. So that's why I say as we get into next weekend, opportunity for much cooler air, even some chilly air for us is possible. Not only possible, but maybe even likely. How about that? Well, let's check the blender and let's see what numbers it shows. Oh, that's nice. I mean, we go from here we go mid 80s still the next few days into the upcoming weekend. But look, this is what I'm talking about next week. With the better rain chances, we go down to 80 on Tuesday, then only 77 on Wednesday. But look at that, 74 next Thursday, a week from today. And look at those lows around 50. and then mid 70s, maybe upper 70s after that. But it's somewhere right in here that the models haven't picked up yet, but they will. And sometime after this, into next weekend, around the 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th, I think this is when we really start to get a shot of that chilly air. And what we're talking about here is highs in the 60s, lows in the 40s. I think it's going to happen right in here, right in there, about the 11th, 12th, or 13th of October through the 15th. So, from everything that I'm seeing, that's kind of the indication of what may be coming. But at least next week, we know it's going to be cooler and we're going to get some rain. So, that is some very good news. Let me show you the map that I showed you last night, but updated. This is where I used a kind of a different looking map to explain um, just how some of this may play out. Okay. Where did it go? I'm looking for, okay. There it is. Okay. So this is the long range GFS model. And as you can see here, the valid time for this particular model is Monday the 6th, this coming Monday. So you look, and these are surface temperatures. You could see the warm air that we've had. You can look down here at the scale and see the colors. Okay. So we're talking about 80s, of course. Now, when you start to see some of these greens and especially the blues, okay, that is anywhere from 30 to 40 to 50-degree temperatures. So look what's happening in the Rockies by Monday. This is the system that is going to come in and bring us the cooler air. So let's follow it as we go through time. Now it gets warm during the day, but then here we go. Now, this, I want you to look. Look at that. When is that? Wednesday. Wednesday, next Wednesday. Okay. Here we go. Cooler air. And look how some of that starts to drop into Kentucky. The Great Lakes. I mean, we're talking right across into Canada, southern Canada, right across Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, Huron, and so forth and so on, the Great Lakes. Temperatures in the 30s by Wednesday. We warm up into the 70s, but then look at this. Here we go into next Friday, the 10th. Some of this is showing maybe 60s to 70 during the day. And look at these nighttime temperatures. I mean, that's wow. Now, if this holds true, we're talking about 40 to 50-degree overnight temperatures for next Friday. How about that? But we're not done. Here comes some more of that chillier air. And look, it's not as hot here. We're not talking about 80s. We're talking about 60s and 70s. And yes, I mean this is nice. This is what I'm looking forward to, and I think most of you are looking forward to it as well. I mean, that is going to be really, really nice. Okay. So I hope you enjoy that. Now, changing things up here just a little, for those of you who watch me on a regular basis, sometimes I start with our sponsor. But I changed it up because you see how cool it's going to get next week, and you still have not called R&R Controls. Why? Right now, they are waiting for your call so that they can come out and inspect your heating, your cooling, your ventilation, your generators, whatever. And it doesn't matter if you're a business or you own a home. In either case, they're booking appointments right now to get you ready for the cooler weather that's coming. And as you saw, maybe as soon as next week, not cold, but maybe chilly. I'll use that word. It could get chilly by the end of next week and weekend. R&R Controls, family-run business since 1985, specializing in HVAC services, heating, cooling towers, generators, automated services, maintenance, prevention, all of the stuff that you need, and not just turning on an air conditioner or turning on the heat. They give you control. That's why it's called R&R Controls. 270-777-2024. That's the number to call. 270-777-2024. With R&R Controls, you'll never be without. So if you own a business, you own a home, and you're thinking about, my HVAC system may not be ready for the chillier months ahead, you need to give them a call. Tomorrow's Friday. They'll be in the office. Give them that call. Write down that number, 270-777-2024, or you can go to rnrcontrols.com. That's their website, and give them a call and set something up, because I'm telling you, you just don't want to wait until it's too late. And then they say, well, we're kind of booked. We're kind of busy, doing installations and doing upgrades, and, you know, just get it done. I want you to get it done. As a former homeowner, I rent now, but as a former homeowner, I know how important it is to make sure that this stuff is working. So call R&R Controls and get it booked. All right. Subscriptions. If you would like to subscribe to 270 Weather and get some extra content, I've started this to see how it goes. It may work, it may not. I don't know. I'm just trying this to see how it all shakes out. To subscribe, you just scan that QR code there with your phone, and it will take you to a separate Facebook um, post where you'll see how you get signed up for this. And it's just $1.99 a month. I started on Sunday putting out a weekly weather preview that I call the flash forecast, because I use a lightning bolt as my logo for 270 Weather. Then I call it the flash forecast. There's also going to be eventually some access to special videos, special graphics, weather, or it could be other content that I'm interested in. I'm interested in a lot of things: music, travel, um, discussions about just life in general. I could put some of that there if you would like a deeper dive, and if you would like to just hang out and see some of the stuff that I'm doing other than weather, then that's where it would be. And or if you're not interested in that and you just want to show me some support, I appreciate that. For $1.99 a month, you get that extra content. And I promise it is going to be there more than just the extra forecast every Sunday. Um, but it takes time to build these things. But there you go. If you would, I would appreciate it. And I thank you so much for that. It helps take care of all this, helps pay the bills. All right. That'll do it for this Thursday edition of your 270 weather. Um, have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow morning on Sunrise, which starts at 6 a.m. on CBS and NBC 40 WNKY. And again, I'll be on at 9 a.m. and noon. In the meantime,